Hello friends, welcome to my channel Logical Electrical. My name is Saurav and today we will learn something new. Alright then, today we will learn about electrostatics. Now what is electrostatics? Electrostatics is basically the study of the rest charges, or I would rather say study of the stationary charges. Okay. Now the word electrostatics is comprises with the two different kinds of words, that is electro and the statics. Now let's see. So the word is actually comprises with the electro and the statics. Now where does this electro originate from? The electro, the word is actually originate from the word electron. Okay. So it is originate from the word electron. Now I think this is very much famous subatomic particle. I think you have already heard about it. This electron lives inside an atom. I think you have already familiar with the basics of the atomic structure. Inside the atom there is a heavy nucleus, positively charged. Around that the electrons are actually revolving around that nucleus. Okay, that is the basic structure. Now what is this statics? Statics is basically a study of the rest objects. Alright. Or to be more specific, it's a study of the stationary objects. Now my question to you is, why is actually electron is called electron? Is this a random choice given to electron? The answer is not quite. Electron, the name of electron is have some good significance around it. It is not a random choice. The name of electron actually originates from the word amber. Have you heard about amber? Amber is a kind of tree resin, or to be more simple way, it is like a tree glue which becomes solidified. Okay. So the Greek translation of amber is actually known as electron. Now you might be asking me, what is the relation between this amber, the tree resin, and the subatomic particle electron? I can tell you that there is a deep relation between the amber and electron. In order to understand that relation, we have to go to the history of electrostatics. Okay, then let's go to the history. In the year of 600 BC, what happened? In the year of 600 BC, the 600 years before the Christ birthday, Jesus Christ's birthday, in that year, human beings were familiar with the strange phenomena that if you rub amber in your hair, then that piece of amber may attract dry leaves, which is quite magical phenomena for them. Now let us jump to the year of 16th century. What happened in the 16th century? In the 16th century, this magical phenomena is actually used as amusement or entertainment purposes. The stage shows are actually performed then. And in 16th century also different kinds of elements or different kinds of objects are found which exhibit the same kind of property just like the amber. If you rub them also, they will attract dry leaves or a piece of paper, etc., etc. That is the case. Now in 18th century, something different happens. In 18th century, humans were more curious about why these phenomena is actually happening. Okay, they wanted to know the reason for what is the reason behind it. So they actually put a very focus into this kind of phenomena. What is actually going on? They wanted to reveal what is going on there. What is the true reason behind these kind of phenomena? So they put their undivided attention to these kind of phenomena and they found a very remarkable results, believe me. They proposed that if you rub amber with a cat fur, what is cat fur? Cat fur is nothing like, it's like a skin of a cat. Generally, it is used in the winter clothes. Now if you rub that amber with the cat fur, then amber will achieve some different kind of magical property. This is called A. and if you rub the glass with the silk, then the glass will also achieve different kind of magical property, and which is quite different from this with this property A. I am calling it as a B. Now is the time for results, observation results. And according to them, A and A, whereas B and B, my B is not look like B, so I just rub it down a little bit and then write it down again. This A and A, B or B actually repels, whereas A or B and B and A actually attracts. So what is the conclusion of this? What is the conclusion of this phenomenon? Of this kind of results, I would rather say. The results were the opposite attracts, whereas same repels. That is the case. Now, this result find themselves actually made those people a crazy person. What is going on in 6000 BC? What happened? The man found the first electrical phenomena, which is attracting basically. And 16th century stage shows and the entertainment, amusement things are actually happen, and there's actually the case of attraction there. Now in 18th century, we are finding that the attraction and also repulsion both are present. Now where does this repulsion came from? So that leads their curiosity more intense. They wanted to find a new concept by which they can explain these kind of phenomena. So one great man who actually proposed a new kind of concept, by using that concept, it can explain actually most of these kind of phenomena, what's actually going on there. Now who was that great man? I think you have already heard about the man. The man is so much great. He has lots of inventions. One of the biggest invention is actually the lightning rod. The name of that great person is Benjamin Franklin. All right. Benjamin Franklin was a charismatic man of his period. He proposed a new kind of concept. He called it as a electric fire and fluid, concept of electric fire and fluid. Not only he actually proposed this concept of electric fire and fluid, he also put forward some remarkable results in the study of the electrostatics, which actually bring the study of electrostatics to the new level. Okay. So I will now talk about something of his results. Okay, but I will present them in a very categorical way. Let's go to the point 1. Point number 1. In this point number 1, he actually proposed the concept of electric fire and fluid. So I'm just writing down the concept. But he told us that he proposed that every substance having a particular amount of electric fluid or electric fire or fluid in it. Now by rubbing them, you can easily imbalance the amount of fluid or the fire into them. So what happened? If a substance having the excess of that fire, then it would be considered as a positively charged. Whereas if a substance having the low amount of fire, or rather say have a deficiency of that fire, then it should be considered as a negatively charged. That was his concept, his belief. Point number 2. He also introduced the sign convention. What is actually his sign convention is? Sign convention. According to him, if you rub the silk with the glass, let's say, or the glass with the silk, same thing happens, then the glass, due to rubbing, there's a amount of fluid imbalance would take place. So the glass will have excess of that fluid. So according to his theory, the glass will become positively charged. Similarly, if you rub amber with the cat fur, then due to this rubbing, the fluid amount imbalances, and the amber will have deficiency of that fluid. So according to his concept, it is considered as it is negatively charged. Now why he actually done that, I don't know. And why the peoples are actually maintain his conventional rule, sign convention. I think he was on his period, he was the most dominating man. He was one of the founding fathers of the United States. Also, he is a very good inventor, politician, diplomat, statesman. So he has a great respect on the society on that period of time. So whatever he actually talk about, it's like a God rule for the society's members, or the peoples were thought it's like a God rule for them, whatever he told about. So that's why the peoples were believe on his sign notation, okay, because of his dominating character and the respect of the society. So the sign convention is done. Now the next thing, what does the great man next proposed? Next he proposed the basics of the conservation of the charge. Conservation. He proposed that in the first concept, in the first point, we have talked about that every substance actually comprises with a particular amount of fluid. Now if you rub them, then there is a charge imbalances, or the fluid imbalance would take place. And if some objects have excess of that fluid, it should be considered as a positive. If some have the deficiency of that fluid, so it should be considered as a negative. Now the question is, where does that excess of that charge comes from? If some will actually lose some amount of fluid, then other will gain that. So he actually proposed that. So that is the basics of the conservation principle. Okay, charge cannot be created or destroyed. So the conservation. The fourth tip, he actually gives us a great observation result, that if you rub a substance more and more, then the amount of fluid will increases more and more, amount of fluid will increase or decrease more and more. So the attraction and repulsion force will also increases. So attraction and repulsion force is directly proportional to the amount of fluid into them. If you actually if you increase the amount of fluid in a substance more and more, then it will actually attract the other objects in a higher magnitude. The force is actually proportional to the amount of fluid. That was his conclusion. The force is directly proportional to the amount of the fluid. So these are the four basic foundings of the Benjamin Franklin. I think he have found more of them, but I'm just focusing on these four. Okay. Now there is a huge big problem. Yeah, it's a huge and a big and the problem. The problem is, according to modern perspective, as the electron, proton, neutrons are actually invented today, we know that his concept of electric fire and fluid is very, very far from the truth. So you may ask me, then what is actually the logical phenomenon? What is actually the logic behind this kind of phenomena? What is the reason? What is the reason of this kind of phenomena in a modern perspective? Okay, it is quite hard to explain that what is actually going on, what is actually the reason behind these kind of phenomena, but you are lucky. I will explain you in a very simplified manner. That is what is going on here. Okay, now pay attention. when you rub something, when you rub two objects, what actually happens? They become in contact with each other. Now, as they become in contact with each other, then the surface level molecule at the point of contact want to have a tendency to make a bond with each other. So what does that mean? Let's say I am rubbing A with the B. In some point they will become in contact with each other. Okay, that is very a frequent point. Okay. Now, in that case, the surface level molecules of A is actually live here, and surface level molecules of the B is actually live here. In the surface, these kind of molecules lives in the surface of the objects. Okay. Now, the surface level molecules at the point of contact. So, what is the point of contact? There is a point of contact. So, I am just talking about these molecules. Okay. These molecules will have a tendency to make bond with each other. So the molecules of the A, surface level molecules of the A, will have a tendency to make bond with the molecules of the B. So like so. Similarly, same thing happens. The B molecules will also want to make a bond with A. As we know from our basics of the bonding, the concept of bonding, whenever there is the issue of bonding, there is a electron comings and goings or sharing of electrons is actually took place. Okay. So, as there is a electron sharing is actually took place, so what happened? Some electrons might be go from the B to A, or same thing actually applies for this here, that is some electron will go A from B. It happens because they have a tendency to make bond with each other. Alright. So now let us think about that. Whenever after rubbing you just separate the object, what happened? Suppose let's say some electron B will electron from the B is actually transferred to the A. After some fraction of second they are getting separated. What happened then? Then the electron cannot retrieve to the B again, or it cannot be returned back to the B again. So what happened? It is actually trapped inside the A. So A will contain more electron, whereas B have some deficiency of one electron. A have the excess of one electron. So eventually what happened? The A will become negatively charged because of that electron is present, and B will become positively charged because absence of that electron. So that is the basic reason behind what is actually going on. When you rub two substances, then they will become charged particles. They will become charged. Now my question to you is very basic, that why an electron, why this electron sharing or comings and goings of electron will actually result this charge phenomena between A and B. Okay, what is actually the reason behind that? The answer is very simple. The electrons are charged particles. If you increase the amount of electron to a particular substance, then what happens? The negative quantity of that object will actually increase. So it will become negatively charged. Whereas if you extract some amount of electron from a substance, then what happened? Then it will have a negative content will actually decreases there. So it will become eventually positively charged. So that is the charge phenomena. Now again one obvious question, that where does electron get this kind of charge from? Where does the electron get this property of charge? I can clear you one thing. Let me clear one thing, that electron is not a charge. Electron is one of the properties is a charge. Okay. Electron also contain mass. So mass is like electrons one of the property. It is features like it is like a feature of electron. So also charge is like the property of electron. So now my question is, where does the electron get his charge? To answer this question, we have to first ask ourselves that what is the basics, or to be more specific, what is actually a charge? Okay, now I am running out of time now, so I will explain what is a charge in the next lecture. So if this video is very much helpful for you, then please subscribe to my channel. Thank you.
Think basic, think logical.